I was taking solace in the fact that the Vikings are frauds, so that makes me feel better. I know this is all loser talk, but it's okay. The Vikings are frauds. The loss to the Giants and Jets and Commanders all feels a lot better given where we're at now, but somehow the Packers have only gotten worse since those losses. So I don't know. I guess it's a two-way street of emotions.
Yeah, my buddy Garrett came over and we watched Red Zone for a couple hours today. Kind of as the games were winding down in the fourth quarter in the early window. And one thing I said to him is, how is it that this Packers team they were mounting a pretty good comeback last week against the Bills, and they ended up losing by 10 points. How does that team suddenly come to Detroit and just lay an egg? Because this is not the same team that was there last week. I mean, we both agreed that we could at least respect the loss against the Bills. I'm not sure I can take one discernible thing away from the Packers today and be like, oh, well, at least we can build on that.
I think so. Two parts in that. One, it was so maddening that, and again, I know the Lions defense is absolutely terrible, but it was like, oh look, we're moving the ball consistently, 2 straight drives, and then we turn it over in the red zone, 2 straight drives. But then on the other hand, I'm looking around the NFL right now, and I still don't really know who's good and who's not. I'm even more confused now than I was a week ago because now that I'm looking through some of the quote unquote like top dogs in the league, their wins are against some pretty trash opponents. So I don't know.
Maybe the moral story is everybody's trash.
Yeah, I mean, I just saw a graphic today that like 19 teams are below 500 or at 500 or below.
So it's like the rich are rich and the poor are poor.
But are the rich really that rich? You know, specifically, I know we were hyping up the Eagles a little bit last week, but I'm convinced that they're not the best team in the NFC. I still think it might be the 49ers.
So you think the 4-4 49ers are better than the 8-0 Eagles?
Yes, I do.
So what happens when said 40 – who do the 49ers play next week? I know they're getting healthy and they got McCaffrey and he's got a whole other week to get, integrated into the system, but who do they got coming up? So they got the Chargers. Looks like on Sunday night. I mean, the Chargers. I tell you what, Coach Staley is lucky they pulled that one out. I think if they had lost today at Atlanta, that's fireable, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Monday night against the Cardinals, win. Saints, win. Hosting the Dolphins, that'll be kind of fun. It's basically watching the same offense. Well, not really. It's because the Dolphins are just way more explosive than the 49ers, but the 49ers are much more refined, I'll say. But then Buccaneers win. Seahawks, iffy at this point. It's at Seattle, so I actually don't know who's going to win that. Commanders, Raiders, Cardinals. So I think what we're looking at is potentially at max 2 more losses for the 49ers. So we're looking at 11-6 maybe.
Maybe
But
10-7.
But we've also documented the Eagles' schedule, how easy it is.
So Eagles have beaten one team with a winning record.
Same as the Vikings.
And the Vikings are the winning team that they beat. Minus the Cowboys.
I said the Cowboys. They beat the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So, but I think the difference, though, is like when the Eagles beating the Texans on Thursday night wasn't the most convincing thing I've ever seen, but it was by more than one possession. And they also made Davis Mills look kind of stupid at times. I don't think the Vikings have made anybody look stupid this year other than the Packers. No offense.
0 taken.
So that's kind of where I'm at. I still like the 49ers, obviously, but I don't the Eagles don't give me the same vibe as the Vikings do, per se. I also don't think that not that we have, but the Seahawks they're looking primed to take that division because everybody, as I say, talking about the 49ers, if the Seahawks can continue to win and keep that cushion between them and the 49ers, I think they're looking good at the bare minimum a wild card for sure, but
yeah,
they just continue to pile up these wins and good for them. We are recording on a Sunday night. Hello. I got the Titans Chiefs game up. I'm sure you do as well. I'm looking at Kevin Byard right now warming up. So we're about 20 minutes until kickoff. So we have the game up. Anything kind of fun happens that we need to comment on, we'll comment on it. But it's on the background here. But we're doing our first ever Sunday night recording. So that means we can get this up on a Tuesday. Good day, good times. I can just get everything edited tonight and call it a day. So we'll get to the Packers and Bears in a second. Where do you want to start?
Well, I was just going to say, before we started recording, you asked how my mood was. And it's probably going to continue to like ebb and flow throughout this episode because now we're going to see highlights from the day, and it's just going to get under my skin even more. I decided the best thing for my mental health is to stay off of Twitter.
Wait, whoa. You don't want to go look at Ike Podcast's tweets and does LaFleur have a job on Monday?
So Michelle went to the grocery store after the game, and she came back. She goes, "Who's Joe Barry?" I was like, "The defensive coordinator." Why? She said, because she was listening to the post-game show on the radio. She goes, "I don't know. Some caller called in and said that Joe Barry needs to lose his job immediately." And I was like, "Dear Lord, even when we're angry, we can't even be angry at the same thing or the correct things." Out of everyone in that building, Joe Barry should shoulder the least amount of blame for
Yeah,
our
I'm not
loss
going to
today.
sit here and say Joe Barry is the second coming of defensive coordinators, but I don't think he was exactly the reason that y'all lost today.
No.
Not even close. He's like number 7 on that list today.
Yeah,
So,
if even in the top 10. Anyways, where do you want to start?
well, I know that you're a frequenter of weddings. What is the absolute, because I was at a wedding last night, what is the absolute number one song that needs to be played at a wedding for you to get your dance groove on?
Oh, man. I'm trying to think here. The song that popped in my head is not the correct answer, but Mo Bamba popped into my head. But the only reason I say that is because it was requested at our wedding. And when the DJ wouldn't play it because of the explicit lyrics, Michelle went up and said, "No, play the song," and then was
I remember that story.
instantly mortified when she started to hear the lyrics. So
I remember that story, yeah. That's a good
I
story.
don't know. What's yours?
I think Mr. Brightside is the number one that'll get me on the dance floor. And
Oh, that's a good one. That's a
That's
good
just
one.
Singing that at the top of your lungs after a couple of beers, it will always get the juices flowing. I think, I don't know. Some of the choreographed dance ones are like kind of cool, depending on how much you've had to drink, but sometimes they get a little old.
Yeah, Mr. Brightside might be a good one.
I'm not the biggest slow song guy either. But yeah, we went to a wedding last night. A frequent listener of the show, Calvin, got married. So congrats, Calvin, if you're listening to this. I know your honeymoon's in a couple months. So hopefully you have a nice, easy week coming up. But we had a great time. So thank you for including us in your fun day. It was a great time. So I know he is – I don't know how – he's in my fantasy league. I don't know how he did today, but I know Joe Burrow had a good day. So good for him.
Joe Burrow only had one touchdown, I think.
Well, a good day in retrospect. Maybe not in the fantasy
Yeah.
world, but he had a good day.
Yeah. So I'm looking
And-
at some of these top wedding songs right now.
Oh, boy.
Fireball by Pitbull is a good
I
one.
hate that song. I also hate Fireball.
So it's just a good wedding song.
Yeah, it gets people going, I guess.
Party in the USA, Miley Cyrus.
Sammy loves that song. I don't
That
care
gets the
for it.
people going. Oh, of course. I Want to Dance with Somebody. That one always gets
Oh,
people
that's
going.
like that's like one of the first 3 songs played at every wedding, and I can't stand it. It's like that or some sort of like Grease song, and I just like, come on. It's definitely like, you got to get the old people out there for like the first hour because then they just leave anyways.
Yeah. Jump Around's on here. That's always a certified
It's-
banger in the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah, as I say, I figured that would have been the song that you said, just, connotations.
Yeah, and it just gets people. That's kind of what I'm going off of. Not necessarily my favorite, but like what gets people going. I feel like AC/DC always plays well at a wedding too.
I don't know if I've ever been to a wedding that has AC/DC playing.
You Shook Me All Night Long?
No.
No?
Back in Black?
Yeah, Hell's Bells.
Oh, I guess Thunderstruck would be kind of fun if you're doing the drinking
Oh,
game.
yeah.
That'd be kind of a good time on the dance floor.
You know, it's a good one. We made up a drinking game to the song "Wipeout."
In what capacity?
The drinking game. It's hard to explain if you're not listening to the song, but like you know the drum portion where it's like, and then it like the guitar hits. It's like, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So between like those guitar hits, like one person starts drinking, and then when it goes, then they stop, and the next person starts, and then when it goes back to the everyone like cheers is in the middle. It's a good time. We invented it, ironically, at a Packers tailgate party in my driveway during 2020. Well, it's more fun when you play it. It's hard to like grasp the concept till you start playing, but it's a good way to get like everyone in the circle like paying attention. I don't know.
So Road America.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was just about to make fun of you. I'm like, wait, wasn't there lockdown in Wisconsin? But I think you guys ditched that in like May of 20.
Yeah, dude, I was back in the office in July of 20.
Unlike Minnesota, where we thankfully our patios at restaurants in January of 21 were opened when it was 15 degrees out. So that was really well thought out strategy. I really enjoyed that. Anywho, so the wedding last night was really fun. I think obviously at the wedding, great to see people get married. Great to hang out with a bunch of people. We knew a lot of people at the wedding, which is always a good time when you go to a wedding and you know a lot of the friends. Selfishly, watching LSU beat Alabama on my phone and following it live, I was kind of like paying attention for most of the game, you know, listening to speeches, eating food, having drinks with some friends. But when it got to the fourth quarter and LSU was within a shot, I'm like, I got to put the game on. So I was at the table with a couple friends, and when it went to overtime and Daniels scored on our first play and Kelly marched the team out to go for two, I'm like, oh boy. My friend Trevor looked at me. He's like, are you going to be mad if they don't get this? I'm like, dude, we're within a shot of beating Alabama. I am not the least bit upset right now. Like,
I'm picturing you like as Michael from The Office. Oh my gosh, it's happening. It's
It
happening.
is. I was. I'm like, oh my God, we're doing it. But if they hadn't gotten it, I would have been like, hey, we just lost to Alabama by 1 point in our coach's first season at home. Like, I will take that any day. Like, sure, I would love to win, but just being within a shot, because, normally how it works with Alabama is unless you had the 2019 LSU offense, we don't ever have a chance against Alabama. We always get killed. I'm pretty sure this is our second win against Alabama in the last decade. But when he marched the team out for two, the perfect play call. When I say the perfect play call, putting your true freshman tight end Mason Taylor in motion, putting him down the line, throwing it to the line, and he just needs to fall in. The perfect play call. The linebacker on Bama could not keep up with the motion. I don't understand why more NFL teams don't do that, let alone an LSU team. So the perfect play call, the win. I screamed at the top of my lungs while the dancing was going on the dance floor. We were like 3 tables from the dance floor. I just started screaming. I was so happy. So super satisfying. And now we have all tiebreakers going to the SEC championship game if we can just beat Arkansas and A&M. And I say if. I am so nervous that we're going to choke this away because that would be so. We have done everything we can. We went to Auburn, we went to Florida, we hosted Bama, we won all of those games. We just need to beat Arkansas and an inept A&M team, and we got this. And then we'll probably lose to Georgia. But you know what? I don't care. Like, we made the SEC championship game in Brian Kelly's first year. Like, to me, that's about as good as I could have hoped for.
So in that case, I'm just trying to think in my head how it's all going to play out then. So LSU goes to the SEC championship game. So does Georgia.
See, I already know where you're going to go with this. So
I'm just thinking if Tennessee wins out, presumably
right.
they should, maybe. Tennessee wins out and LSU wins. Do all 3 teams make the college football playoff?
I think this is going to be the hardest year for the committee. So there's so many fronts going on here. So in your scenario, LSU wins out. They have 2 SEC games and a tune-up game against UAB. I don't know what Tennessee's schedule is. I think they play Kentucky the last week of the season. No, they already played Kentucky.
No, Vandy.
Wow.
They've got South Carolina and Vandy. Those are and they got Missouri next week. Missouri, South Carolina, and Vandy.
Okay, so that will be. I mean, you say this now, but that should be no problem for them. I'm pretty sure Georgia doesn't have any tough games left. I think their last game of the year is Georgia Tech.
Yeah, it is.
I wonder what the spread on that's going to be. Oh, my God. So let's say, hypothetically, knock on wood, Georgia, Tennessee, LSU all went out, and then somehow LSU wins in Atlanta. You have a 1-loss Tennessee, a 1-loss Georgia, an SEC championship winning LSU who has 2 losses.
One of which a blowout to Tennessee.
Not a good look, and an awful loss against Florida State that they had no business losing that game. But it was also the first game in the Brian Kelly era. Still working some things out. Daniels did not look. I mean, I was not very high on Daniels at the start of the year. He has progressed so well in the last 4 weeks. I don't know what it is with both of my quarterbacks, but they have progressed so well in the last couple weeks here. I'm really impressed with both of them. So you got the 3 SEC teams, right? So assuming LSU wins. Then you got a 1-loss USC if they win out. You have potentially an undefeated TCU out of the Big 12. Ohio State should have no troubles. Okay. Ohio State just needs to get through Michigan, although they have looked less than elite the last 2 weeks, including only beating the Northwestern by 14. Those who took the spread on Ohio State are probably really upset, although 38 was a lot to expect for a team. I don't care how good you are. 38's a lot of points to cover on a team. So, but they looked average against Northwestern. Clemson just lost to Notre Dame, so I think they're done. So I don't think ACC is going to be represented this year.
No, what a trash loss that was.
I know. Well, admittedly, I did not watch the game, but knowing what I've seen from Clemson this year, they should have Klubnik in as quarterback, the true freshman, but neither here nor there. So really, I think then it's down. Am I missing anybody? Ohio State. So I think whoever wins Ohio State, Michigan is going to win the Big Ten championship game as well. So we're going to have a Big Ten representative. We potentially may have, I'd say one of the two. So either USC or TCU is going to get in. And then I think we're going to have 2 SEC teams. Now the question is if LSU wins, do you let LSU and Georgia in, even though LSU got mopped by Tennessee? Or do you let Tennessee and Georgia in, even though Tennessee just got mopped by Georgia? I guess it kind of comes down to how the LSU-Georgia games transpires. Like, let's say Georgia wins on a last-second field goal. Or maybe the other way around. Let's say LSU wins on a last-second field goal. I feel like you have to let LSU and Georgia in.
I mean, it probably also depends how Tennessee looks in their they need to win quite convincingly in their next 3.
Well, they'll beat Vanderbilt by like 50. They'll beat Missouri probably by 21, and South Carolina's awful, so I'm sure they'll have no problem there. I just like that the Tennessee was so hyped for the Georgia game, and then they just got ragdolled.
Yeah, the score made it look a lot closer than it actually was.
Yeah, Stetson Bennett was. I don't. What do you think about the? It's like the old SEC thing to do is the night before a big game you leak the starting quarterback's phone number to the student section, and then everybody like texts or calls them all night.
I think it's childish, but I think it's kind of funny.
Well, because LSU did that to Tebow twice.
I think it's funny because if you're Stetson Bennett, you just put your phone on airplane mode and you know what I mean. Like nowadays, it's pretty easy to silence the noise, so to speak.
Yeah, or if you have like an iPhone, you can set up that mode where you get notifications from like 10 people. So like if your mom's trying to call you, you can at least answer. But if a student who's from Tennessee is slandering you, you just ignore it. But whatever. So all to say, good problems to have if you're LSU. We just need to win those 2 SEC games at the bare minimum. I mean, Don't want to just bypass UAB, but I'm not super nervous about that one. So we just need to take care of business city. It's Arkansas and we've done the hard part of the schedule. We just need to finish it out. And I am excited about LSU for the first time in a long time. It's a good time to be a Tigers fan. And we got a really bright future with some of these recruits coming in, so it's going to be good. Wisconsin, did they do anything meaningful this weekend?
They took care of business against a 6-2 Maryland team in horrendous Big Ten weather.
Hey, not bad though. Maryland's not a bad team by any stretch. So
No, and it's 23-10, I think.
Was Tagliavoa playing?
Yes, he was. And the passing game was pretty much, I don't want to say non-existent for the two teams, but it was very, very – he went 10 for 23 for 77 yards, a touchdown, and an INT. And on the other side, Graham Mertz went 5 for 18 for 77 yards. It was gusting to like 50 miles an hour at Camp Randall during the game.
I think that's how it was in Northwestern too. And it's like, I don't know who I'd give the Heisman to at this point.
Hendon Hooker still would get my vote.
I'd probably say, yeah, I think he's been the biggest difference maker on the team.
Yeah.
I think Jaden Daniels may have entered the conversation after the Bama game. I think Bryce Young is done. I think Stroud is done. I don't know who else it would be, to be honest.
Let's check the current odds.
Maybe Corum, Michigan. He's been pretty good this year.
Right now, C.J. Stroud's the favorite.
I don't know if they updated those after Saturday, but
he's plus 180. Hendon Hooker's plus 300. Blake Corum 600. Bo Nix, Caleb Williams both 800, and Drake May is plus 1,200.
You laugh. That Bo Nix has been pretty. I know he's easily slandered online, but he's had a pretty stout year there in Oregon, so good for him. I think this is where I'm supposed to make a father joke, but I don't entirely know the backstory behind that. I still need to research why people slander. What is it? Is it appropriate for the interwebs?
I don't know the whole story yet, but do you know what his hometown is, Bo Nix?
No.
Arkadelphia.
Where the hell is that in Arkansas?
It's in Arkansas.
Okay.
Arkadelphia, Arkansas is where he was born.
Okay. Does that tie into his fatherhood somehow?
No, I just think Arkadelphia is the funniest name for a city.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I think it's gonna be a great season, or it's gonna be a great finish to the college football season. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. So we'll kind of keep some tabs on it. I know college football doesn't get too much mention on here, but don't really have a whole lot with the NFL today to talk about. I mean, there's some pretty straightforward games. There's a couple upsets. I know the Chiefs are on right now, and then Monday night, tomorrow night is Saints Ravens. I don't know how the Saints keep getting primetime games, but that's fine. So
I think today was we kind of talked about there's the top 5 or 6 teams, and then there's everyone else, and they stink. I think today was sort of yep, that team is sort of who we thought they were, whether they won or lost. And, oh, wow, that team is actually pretty good, and I think we've kind of separated the pack quite comfortably now, and we know where everyone lies.
Maybe other than Jets-Bills. I was pleasantly surprised that we've been picking the Bills all year, right? Other than last week. But I was shocked, A, that the Jets won, and that B, Josh Allen looked awful.
Dude, that Jets defense is so good.
But those 2 interceptions, he threw it right to them. It's not like they did anything exceedingly amazing on those interceptions. Like, he threw it right to the guys.
I'm sure it's pre-snap reads, confusion, looks, a lot more than just the execution of the play. I'm sure a lot of it is what Robert Sala's drawn up over there.
You're not wrong. But from the ignorant fans' point of view, he threw it right to the guys. I mean, so there was that. I will say, though, on the crucial play of the game there at the end, 4th and 17, and he throws a 50-yard rainbow to Gabriel Davis, and it hits him in the chest. Like, you couldn't have handed it to him any better, and he dropped it. I know Sauce Gardner had tight coverage, but, man.
Got lost in the sauce.
I was ready for Ian Eagle to say that. I said it to Garrett. I'm like, lost in the sauce, but he didn't say it. So that was an iconic line when he did that against Denver. That was just perfectly queued up for him. So Now I got Chris
Cr-
Collinsworth's face on my TV.
Dude, he just did the slickest mic spin. Did you see that?
No.
I gotta rewind this. I'm gonna take a video.
No, we're not gonna be synced then.
I'll go back to live. All right, waiting for the mic flip. Waiting for the mic flip. Unless I imagine things, but I'm pretty sure he did. He just kind of readjusted it. Maybe out of the corner of my eye, it looked like a little mic spin. Anyways,
So before we move on to more football, I just want to know what
he just did it.
What are you taking a
All
video?
right. Yeah. I don't know if he almost dropped it or what. Oh, yeah, there it was. Got it. Okay. We can continue.
Two things. Well, one of them we'll get to later. So I just want to know what you did yesterday to celebrate Guy Fawkes Day.
I don't really celebrate, but I guess I went to a brewery and then went out to dinner with my family.
You don't wear your Guy Fawkes mask and watch V for Vendetta like we do?
No.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's just us. It's one of have you seen that movie?
Yes, one time, I think.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I think I might have fallen asleep.
Damn it, David. You're talking about one of the top 5 most important movies of all time.
I know. I'm really
Not
bad.
best,
I'm
Not
a terrible
not most
movie
entertaining,
watcher.
but just important. I don't know what the other 4 would be. Gone with the Wind? Not Wizard of Oz. I turned that movie off when I watched it. Oh my god. I know my mom's probably freaking out right now, but I could not. When they got to the Munchkin scene where they're singing, I could not take the things that were happening in my ears anymore and had to turn it off.
When is it? So I don't think we're anywhere near this time yet, but when is it acceptable for people to start watching Christmas movies?
The day after Black Friday.
I like that answer.
So that's to me the acceptable time to start putting up Christmas decorations is Black Friday or later.
Yep, that's when we go get our Christmas tree. Is always that weekend.
Oh, David, now we're gonna have environmentalists freaking out at us.
No, dude, getting a natural Christmas tree is so much more environmentally friendly than fake ones.
Explain.
Because when you throw it out, you're not just throwing pieces of plastic into a landfill. Secondly, all of these trees come from farms where presumably if it's a farm that is successful, after one is cut down, another is planted.
See, I hear everything you're saying, but Twitter told me that going out and getting a real tree was bad for the environment, so I'm just going to have to default to what they say.
Understood.
Actually, we just got we made an unnecessary purchase, if I'm being honest. We just got a new, I want to say it's 10-foot tall fake tree, and I'm hoping that thing lasts us 20, 25 years. So
That's pretty tall.
you will be throwing away 20 to 25 trees in the span of my one fake tree that's going to take
Yeah, but
thousands of years to disintegrate.
You know what else we do with those, though? We cut the little branches off the bottom, put them in nice little flower pots, and make wreaths and little front porch decorations. Then I use it for firewood after Christmas. Cut it up, use it as kindling, and
Yeah, you
have
just turn it
some-
into CO2.
yeah, pretty much. Better than cutting down another tree to do that, right?
I guess.
I guess I'm just digging myself a hole.
I don't know. I'm only keeping this going for devil's advocate's sake. I don't actually care. I'm just waiting for this person. I'm just waiting for the one person to just show up in your DMs and be like, how dare you?
That's okay. I have to deal with Packers Twitter.
Oh, let's get to that. Well, I want to start with the Bears today. So the Bears only lost by 3 to the Dolphins, which I thought was a lot better than what I was expecting. So the positives, Justin Fields once again looked really good for the 3rd week in a row. He set a franchise record for rushing yards by a quarterback. I think it was 187. I think our whole offense was Fields taking the snap, looking around, deciding that nobody was open, which is pretty normal, and then scrambling, including a 61-yard scramble, which was just amazing.
Did
So
Chase Claypool play?
he did. He was involved in a couple plays. I think his key moment was being targeted in double coverage in the last drive of the game, and he is literally draped on by both defenders. One of them is literally hugging him before the ball gets there, on his waist, like doing a full bear hug on his waist, and there's no flag. None. If that was the Packers and that was Devontae Adams being draped on by two defenders, there would have been approximately 74 flags on the ground right next to his fallen body. But since it's the Bears, whatever. We don't get those calls. We don't get those pass interference calls ever, unlike other teams in the NFL. Packers, Patriots with Brady, Buccaneers with Brady.
I'm not here for that slander, but go on.
That's fine. I didn't expect you to. Also, the Chiefs fans are doing the chop. You know what's cool about North Dakota hockey? And well, I don't know about other North Dakota sports, but North Dakota hockey is they have chance.
There are no other. Sorry.
Yeah, why? Yeah. Well, no, you have to go to those sports to get lower bowl on Saturday, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
why
you
those
do.
sports. That is why those sports exist. But the cool thing about them is that they have chance and stuff that you won't find anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
How many teams do the chop? We're talking the Atlanta Braves, the Florida State Seminoles, the Chiefs. Like, you know, when they do the go pack go and
Do
rile
the
up
Fighting
fans.
Illini do that?
I don't know. Sir,
You
they're
know,
just the
Mr.
Illini now.
Okay, sorry.
Chief Illiniwinuk is no longer allowed on campus, which I think
Understood.
that's a
Understood.
discussion for a different day. So, but, you know, when you have like 4 fan bases out there doing the chop, I think it kind of loses its meaning. But, you know, like nobody does Go Pack Go, obviously, because there's not really a whole lot of team calls the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody does the Bear Down song. Or, like, I'm pretty sure of all the Bears teams out there, there's no "Let's go Bears, let's go Bears" like on third down or whatever, riling up the crowd. But when 5 different fan bases are doing the chop, I just think it's kind of annoying. That's a little kind of mini rant you'll get in the middle of a game here. Travis Kelce's fighting somebody. Good God.
Oh, wow. That was
Getting chippy
aggressive.
already. Titans are like the fakest tough team in all of football. And that's, like we said, down to their coach, who's a fake tough guy. But when Mahomes gets 390 yards on him, I don't think they'll be laughing. What was I talking about? I was talking about the Bears. Oh, yeah, Claypool. So, yeah, Claypool just getting mugged. And, yeah, no flag. And it was pretty crucial. And then EQ, Equinemius St. Brown, drops the fourth and 10 pass. And it just goes to show that, you know, you boil it down to its essential. Justin just does not have the weapons he needs to succeed at the moment. So he's doing the best he can. But after today, keys to the franchise, gave it to him. He's our franchise quarterback, 100%, no doubt. And what I was telling Garrett, too, is when Justin, you know, played last year and didn't particularly look great, kind of put it down to Matt Nagy sucking. You start the first 5 or so games this year, everybody's kind of like, oh, is he still the guy? I was saying, like, oh, is he actually it? Or does he just suck? Or what's going on? Like, for me, it was he's not making the right reads, things like that. Now that he's strung together these 3 games of sheer competence and brilliance, if next week against the Lions he comes out and lays an egg, then you can start to backpedal and say, was the play calling really bad? Was his receivers letting him down? Was the offensive line terrible? Because now that we know he can do it, the thought is no longer, does Justin just suck? Now the thought, if there's a bad game, is what happened around Justin to make this team fail? It'd probably be like Rodgers in, you know, like 2010. If you guys lost a game in 2010 and being like, well, it's clearly not Rodgers because we know he can do it because he's had many, many games already where he's done really well. So it's not Rodgers' fault.
Yep.
It's kind of like that's kind of where we're at. So that's why I'm super stoked after today. I know we lost again, and I know but the Dolphins are a playoff contender, and we're not. So the fact that we can still hang with them, I think, is really positive.
I told you this last week. These are literally the best case scenarios right now for Bears fans because Justin Fields is balling out. You're hanging with really good teams, but you're losing, so you're going to have a really good draft pick.
Yeah, we're getting. This is what that's what I told you 5 weeks ago. Is like, God, we're losing, and Justin is sucking, and like this is the year that Justin is supposed to kind of emerge a little bit, so we can have some faith going into next year. Like we know we're going to lose, but we need to see something out of our quarterback, and now we're seeing it. And I am stoked. Our defense looks terrible, but it looked terrible when we had Quinn and Roquan on our team anyways, so I don't want to hear that. See, the Chiefs are running Pacheco, and they couldn't make up their mind. I have Pacheco and Edwards-Helaire on my fantasy team, and I don't know who to play because I don't know what they're going to do. They're probably going to run it all the way down with Pacheco, and then Edwards-Helaire is going to punch it in. So I just don't know who to start for my team. Quite annoyed. But, yeah, so that's all I got for the Bears game. Nothing super cool. It's nice to see Claypool out there and somewhat involved, but, I think he's just scratching the surface. He's got a little bit more to show and more to learn with the playbook and whatnot, but I don't really have too much to say about him after one showing on a 4-day week for him.
I just tried to go to the Bears website to see if they were selling Claypool jerseys yet, and I went to bears.com, and I literally got to a website about the animal bears and a movie about bears. How on earth the Chicago Bears don't own this domain is beyond me.
I mean, we're not called the frickin' Packers. I'm sorry we're actually named after a real thing.
Yeah, but it's still.
You're named after
Anyways.
the people that gave you jerseys back in the 20s.
No, they were meat packers.
Did they? Oh, they sponsored your jerseys.
Yes.
Did they pay for them?
The Acme Packing Company.
Paid for them.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, people. Everyone's all up in arms about like sponsors going on NFL jerseys. Well, the Packers were doing it 100 years ago, so get over it.
Yes, a model franchise at that. The one that was about to be sold in the 80s because they sucked so bad.
Yeah, and then they come back. So it's the American dream.
Ebbs and flows. All right. Well, the Vikings beat the Commanders by one possession. How impressed are you by this win by the Vikings on a last-second field goal against the Commanders in Washington?
Frauds. Fraudulent frauds. They're going to lose their first playoff game. I don't care. I almost hit send on a tweet today, but I didn't, and I should have.
What do your drafts look like?
I should go look. It said the Packers stink. The Lions are the Lions. The Vikings are frauds, which means the Bears might be the best team in the NFC North right now. And
Let's go.
I kind of wanted to say it tongue in cheek, but I think I might be convincing myself that I believe it at this point, just because I think the Vikings are that big of frauds.
Well, numbers don't lie. Justin Fields does have the best QBR in the NFC North right now. I didn't make the numbers up. I just report them. I'm pretty sure Rodgers had it coming into today.
He was on a quest to throw 500 touchdowns before his 100 interceptions, and going into the season, it looked all but a sure thing because he needed like 40-some touchdowns and 7 interceptions, which his touchdown to interception ratio has been insane. Well, he officially ruined that today.
Let's just get to it. I was shocked. I couldn't believe some of those. Okay. Why are they paying millions of dollars to tight ends and receivers? And the best play they can come up with is a crossbody throw to David Bakhtiari. How is that the best play call we have?
I know, man. If it worked, it would have been sweet. I know that much. But here's the thing. Here's time out. The play call itself, albeit weird and unnecessary, it's not. The play didn't work because of the poor play caller, because Bakhtiari dropped it. The play didn't work because Rodgers was 6 yards short of him. I mean, say what you want about the play call, but ultimately it comes down to your, $50 million a year quarterback to hit a guy that's wide open standing in the end zone. So
I don't know why he ducked it so bad. Like, he just completely short-armed it.
And it's not like he hasn't thrown off his back foot before. He's made a career off of that. So
I don't think I've ever seen that.
So as much as I thought the play call was weird, it's hard for me to put fault more on LaFleur than on Rodgers. That's more on Rodgers than anyone.
Wait, it is Sunday. Does LaFleur have a job tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay, cool. If you're listening on Tuesday, or if Matt LaFleur happens to be listening on Tuesday, congrats on being employed. or I'm sorry that you got the pink slip. Also, so was it the first interception? So obviously the play that was the interception went off a Lions player's helmet, just got beamed in the helmet. But I'm pretty sure the play before that was shotgun 1 yard away, run up the middle, get stuffed.
Hate it. And the reason I hate it was exactly what happened. The running back doesn't get any forward momentum or like any head of steam when they hit the hole when they're coming out of shotgun like that. And that is what ultimately resulted in him getting stuffed, was because I don't even it wasn't Jeff Okuda. Whoever came in and filled the hole just met him with much more force than A.J. Dillon had. And I feel like if you run that out of the I formation or a single back, you're coming at the line with an 8-yard, head start. That makes a difference in those plays. So it strikes again.
Yeah, I remember looking at Sammy was like half glazed, ready for a nap. I remember looking at her like, Lighting's gonna be pissed about that one.
Yeah.
And then the third one, it was tight. It looked like there was a window to get it to Tunyon, but it was just horrendously underthrown.
Yeah, I didn't see that one. We were out of town this weekend, and we stopped and watched the first half at a bar and restaurant in Green Bay, actually, which we have a terrible track. I don't know why we ever decide to watch games on our way home from Door County, because nothing but horrible things happens. Just a quick sidebar. So we go to Door County every fall. The first year we went in the fall was 2017. The game that we watched at the restaurant attached to Lambeau was the game that Rodgers got his collarbone broken against the Vikings. We
Congrats
then
on your
went.
engagement that weekend.
Thank you. You too. For those that don't know, Matt and I share an engagement anniversary.
Not to each other though.
Not well, some would say. And then in 2018 we did the same thing, and the game that we watched was the Mason Crosby missed 6 field goals in Detroit game.
Wait, what? Was I drunk that day? He missed 6 field goals in a game?
Yeah, and the Packers lost by like a field goal.
What? What is with you guys in Detroit?
House of Horrors, man.
I mean, man, you're like in the Hail Mary was super cool, right? I don't know if you deserve to win that game, but especially since that Hail Mary only happened because of a brutal face mask.
Yeah.
Like, it was 100% a face mask, but like such an avoidable penalty.
So then in
how do you keep your job after 6 missed field goals?
I don't know. It's a good thing they let him keep it though. And then in 2019 we didn't go to Door County because we went to that was our honeymoon. So I'm counting our honeymoon because it was around the same weekend. That was when we lost to the Chargers, when we decided we just couldn't play teams out west for whatever reason in 2019. 2020 we didn't go because of the pandemic. And then last year was the game that we lost to the Vikings in Minnesota. So we are 0-4. Literally, we're 0 for 4 in watching games after this trip. So I just need to stop doing that.
I think you need to do the reverse, and unfortunately, I think we need to start gripping with the reality that you're not going to have to worry about Packers football in January this year for the first time in a while.
They have 2 games in January, okay?
You know what I mean. You fully know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I came to grips with that even before today. Even if they made the playoffs, this team wasn't going to go on a run.
But maybe it's a good time to the next time they make the playoffs, maybe you should just go up to Green Bay and watch it at the bar and see if you can exercise some demons.
Or maybe just go to the game because they're undefeated when I go to playoff games.
What's the sample on that? 1-1?
3, 2 or 3, 3, 2.
So you're talking you must have gone to like the first rounds then.
Wild card against the Giants in 16.
That was a mopping.
Yep, that was a mopping. And then divisional round against the Seahawks in 1920.
Well, of course Russell Wilson lost him to Lambeau. What else is new? That's not
So,
a new thing. That's a Russell Wilson thing.
I guess just those 2 then.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know I don't know where else we gotta go with the Packers because I think we're just at the point of being redundant with some of the things we talk about. I mean, Rodgers talks about cutting reps, but then throws it right off the helmet of a Lions player, and then misses just throw after throw.
Yeah, today wasn't good. I saw something on Twitter, and I can't believe I like entertained the thought of it. But somebody said maybe it's time to just. I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. Maybe it's time just to let Jordan Love play the rest of the season to see what you have. Which is, I literally 2 weeks ago
What do
I
you have
said
to
it was
lose?
crazy to bench. Well, that's the thing. At this point, barring a miracle where we legitimately run the table again, this team's not going to make the playoffs. If they lost one more game, maybe, but that's not going to happen. It's just not. But I
You
don't
got Cowboys
know.
coming to town off a bye.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't even know what's going to happen anymore. This team is it's predictable, but also unpredictable, just in the sense that they all of a sudden will show these like flashes of life, but there's just no consistency. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe you play Jordan Love the rest of the season, see what you got, and worst case scenario, you lose out, and then you're staring down a couple of quarterbacks in the draft next year. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the big problem with the Packers is that their short term future is determined. Barring Rodgers retiring, you're stuck with him for at least 3 years. You're stuck with your coach for a couple of years just because he signed an extension, unless you want to pay him, which, like, what's money to an NFL team, I guess, at the end of the day. You just re-signed your GM.
I can't
I
say
think
I'm
the schedule gets
thrilled.
tougher next year.
Well, I can't. Well, except we'll
Oh
be
my
playing
God,
a.
this Titans guy just ran through 4 tackles. Look at this guy go. First play of the Titans game, I think it's like a tight end screen, and he just broke 4 tackles, and they're instantly in field goal range. Who is this? Sun starts with
Donald.
an O. Okanokwo? Can't say I've heard of him, unfortunately. But 1, 2, 3, 4. Get off me. Tight end screen, breaks 3 tackles, turns into like 50-yard gain. Well done. Sorry. Anyways, so I think the Packers like short-term future is a little worse for wear. If this trajectory keeps, if they can't get it figured out on offense, because defensively I don't think they're sure. There's some questions to be asked of schematics, but definitely all the fingers belong on the offensive side of things right now.
Yeah, absolutely. The Packers are now averaging like 16 points a game or something, which is insane.
What a great year to start the podcast, right?
I know. I was thinking about that. I just love
You just missed out on like all of your glory years to do podcasting, and now here we are stuck with this.
makes for better content, I guess. The I feel like I'm just all over the place right now. I was gonna make one last. Yeah. You just made a comment about like the near future is kind of a sure thing, and that we can't just like pitch the coach. I am very very far from wanting to pitch Matt LaFleur because I think fair or unfair, he's handcuffed a little bit by his quarterback. And I know ultimately he's the head coach, so he needs to make these decisions. But not that I'm rushing 12 out the door right this second, but once he is out the door, I am excited to see what LaFleur would do in a system that isn't with a 18-year veteran, and that
Who
he can kind of
is me first?
yes, exactly, that ran Mike McCarthy out of town, but still insists on playing Mike McCarthy ball and going 5 wide and forgetting any schematics or motion or anything that revived Rodgers' career and made them the number one offense for 2 straight seasons. All that aside, I would love to see.
I loved the 3 end zone shots at the end until the Packers realized, oh, hey, we have 2 timeouts that we can use.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when you bring up the scenario of like, oh, hey, why don't we just ride with Jordan Love just to see what we have? Maybe not necessarily like, oh, screw Rodgers or whatever. Look at Malik Willis go. Let's just see what we have with number 10. Could you imagine the look on Rodgers' face? Oh my God, that would be the most satisfying thing to happen to me as far as a football fan in the last 5 years. Oh God, That would have made the last 12 years of suffering through a Rodgers era just so worth it to just see the look on his face if he got benched.
I don't think it would be worth it.
This is coming from a Packers fan's point of view, right? You got to come from my point of view of just
Yeah,
getting dunked on by the same guy over and over and over again for my whole life.
Exactly. So you would accept almost 2 decades of getting dunked on for a couple pictures
to see
of him
Rodgers getting benched and seeing him whine on the bench? Are you kidding me? That'd be so awesome. Oh my God. Just to see the mighty fall and to see an actual franchise owner sitting on the bench would be so funny.
But the only reason it would be funny was because he torched you for the last 15 years.
But that doesn't.
So
I like
doesn't
to live
make
in the
it.
present.
I don't think
We're
it makes
on the
it
up.
worth it.
The Packers are on the down. It's all good to me right now. It's the first time I have not had this. I mean, outside 2018,
you guys had this.
Yeah,
Let's be honest.
2018
2018 felt like this. Like 2018 felt like it was the end of an era.
I got a little suspect when we lost Vic Fangio to the Broncos. That's where I was like, oh, I'm no longer sure about this. And we brought in Pagano, and oh, what a train wreck that was. Guy couldn't scheme up Khalil Mack to be one-on-one if he tried.
But it certainly felt like the tables had turned.
A little bit. You thought Matt
Green
Nagy, freaking coach of the year, God almighty. And
on the Packers side, it felt like the window had officially closed.
Right. And then, bam, LaFleur comes in, and you're the regular season gods until, But just because of the new direction the Bears have with the salary cap we're going to go into free agency in the draft with, we actually have a first-round pick for the first, or not the first time, but we have a first round pick for the third time in 5 or 6 years or whatever. And with the Packers diminishing salary cap situation, the need to pay Gary and a couple other big players coming out. I mean, I assume, maybe not. I assume Dylan's going to walk once he gets to that point, because I don't know if they're going to pay not like a second running back per se, but like the second option. I don't know if they're going to want to pay him $6-7 million a year.
No sense if you're not going to use your running backs you pay anyways.
That's a very fair point. And then, we could talk about the receiver situation here. I mean, so just want to get your thoughts on it sounds like the Packers did make a genuine effort to get Claypool, Waller, or DJ Moore for the trade deadline, even going as far to offer a number 1 in the draft for DJ Moore. I mean, I know it's hindsight and none of those trades happened, but were you at least I wouldn't say happy. Were you relieved that they at least tried? And would you have made that trade for more for a first, or do you think that was too steep?
No and no. I just looked at a
graphic
graphic
that they tried and
no, I don't give a shit. I almost got a really good deal on a car last summer, but I didn't. Big deal. I just looked at a graphic of Juju Smith-Schuster, Mecole Hardman, and Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Like, the Chiefs went and got players. If they really, quote unquote, tried, they would have done something in the offseason. So I don't care. In a way, I'm glad it didn't happen, because it'll just make the inevitable blow up that's right around the corner a little bit easier, I guess, because we didn't just trade away draft capital. And truthfully, it's really, really, really too early to tell, especially because these guys keep getting hurt. But I am a optimistic believer in what potentially could be Romeo Doubs and maybe Christian Watson. Not saying they're going to pan out, but I'd rather just kind of ride with them right now and start the rebuild with those two guys already on your squad.
Yeah, I loved having Dobbs on my daily fantasy team. I just was super ecstatic. He had his one catch and got injured and called it a day. It's not his fault, obviously, but
no,
just
no.
And then
It's Watson again, another sounds like concussion thing, so that's not good.
And Bakhtiari left with an injury.
And then he came back.
Stokes was injured.
Bakhtiari came back for the last
Stokes
drive.
was injured. Runyon was injured. Seems like feel like half the team got
Chris
injured
Barnes.
today.
Yeah. Anyways, let's talk about a different team. Let's talk about someone that actually has something to be excited about.
Tom Brady looked like a little bit like Tom Brady today. He led a game-winning drive with like 40 seconds left and no timeouts against the Rams to atone for last year's playoff matchup. They admittedly still looked pretty awful for the other 59 minutes of the game, but hey, small steps. Meanwhile, the Rams are now 3-5, I think. I'm pretty sure they've had a bye, and I think they're 3-5 now. So we can stick a fork in them.
And the Rams, yes.
They're done.
Yes. This
Okay.
was my, like I said, the Super Bowl hopeful letdown game of the season. That whoever lost this game is donezo.
Yeah, I really like that because I make my picks before you submit your picks, so I don't just base my picks off of you. And I really like that we disagreed on 2 games this week, and it was me having the Commanders over the Vikings, which was close, admittedly. And then I had the upset of the Panthers over the Bengals, which did not pan out the slightest. The old P.J. Walker franchise quarterback thing died today, which is kind of sad. But good for you. You're +2 in the season now and all time. So well done. Small victories.
Here we go.
So yeah, Rams are done. Stick a fork in McVay. I think he's probably going to take the Amazon deal here before too long. And then I guess one more piece of positive news. Not all doom and gloom today, David. One more positive news. It looks like Dan Snyder's on the process of selling the Commanders. So happy days for that, right?
Very happy about that. I have lamented his existence on here before and how I think he's just an absolute scumbag. And it is sad because at the time, Washington Redskins, now football team Commanders squad.
Commies.
We were talking about the old NFL films footage we used to watch and all the music and hype music. Washington used to be one of those kind of Green Bay, Buffalo, Kansas City teams where the fan base was just super unique and super into the team, and this whole city and area rallied around the team, and for whatever reason they would dress up as pigs for the games. And I feel like he totally just ruined a cool thing for that area.
Yeah, I could be ignorant, right? Well, we know I'm ignorant in certain things for sure, but I could be ignorant in saying that as an NFL owner, your job is to put a financial stake in the team and then kind of just casually sit in the back and let people that know more about football than you run the team. Unless you're Jerry Jones, and there's still some question on his abilities to run a team. Neither here nor there.
I would agree to an extent, but I also think having an owner that is invested in winning and not just making money is really important, because then they can stand up before the trade deadline or during the offseason or in the draft and say, this is like, we need to address this issue so we start winning football games. And it really comes from the top down, because otherwise heads are going to roll. I say that as a owner of an NFL team, and they don't listen to me when I say those things.
They don't listen to what you have to say?
No.
Oh, that's a shame. I think I know what you're saying, and I 100% agree that it's important to have someone who gives a damn. Like, that's the big thing with Virginia/George McCaskey the last couple of years is, do you give a damn? Why do you keep bringing back Pace and Nagy if they suck so much? And, finally this offseason they changed, and it looks like we're on the right path, ? I don't want this to be another 2018 where it's like we have all this hope and then we suck next year or whatever. But I don't think we see as much of that in football. I think, you got your Dan Snyders and your Shad Khans and a select few who are more in it for the money and less in it to win. Because I feel like most NFL owners aren't in it obviously the money's a nice little side benefit, but most of them want to see their team do well. You got the Hunts, even the Wolves do a good job of wanting to win. The many millions of owners of the Packers. I think at the most, people want to see their teams win. I think where you see it more actually is like soccer. Soccer is a very black and white transparency of there's certain clubs that just want to make money, and there's certain clubs that'll do the extraordinary things to make sure their team wins. So with Snyder, we don't have enough words to use on him, but I'm really hoping the next owner. I kind of hope it doesn't Bezos though. I think that'd be kind of lame. The guy already has enough wealth and responsibility with the companies he already runs that he doesn't need to own another thing.
Yep.
But I think whoever takes over the Commanders, this hopefully is going to be a breath of fresh air for that franchise. And they're also going to step into a unique situation where they're going to have a direct hand in the next stadium that they build, which is going to be kind of cool.
Yep.
So that was kind of it on the football news. Right now it's 3-0 Chiefs. Chiefs are in the red zone. It looks like they were just marked short on a second down play. So now it's 3rd and inches. I have a Mouthguard award to give out this week. Tying back to the LSU Bama game. Shout out to Eli Ricks, wherever you are. Pick 6 Ricks, freshman and sophomore years at LSU were really good. You came in right after the 2019 team and was a really good corner. Had a lot of great interceptions, pass deflections at corner, a couple pick sixes. It was really fun to watch you play. And as soon as Brian Kelly gets hired, you transferred to, was it USC or Notre Dame? Nope, you transferred to our arch rival, Alabama. And how did that work out for you, buddy? It must be nice to transfer to the rival school and then come back to LSU next year and lose that game. Must be tough. So wherever you are, I hope you're happy with your decision. I know you're going to go to the NFL and make millions of dollars, but that decision in hindsight doesn't look like the best one you ever made. And you could have been in a good situation here at LSU, and instead you sold out and went to Bama, and they're not even going to be in the Sugar Bowl now or whatever. So have fun with that. Hope you have fun with that game. Appreciate you. And peace and blessings on your future in the NFL. You're going to be a great player, but just happen to think you whiffed on this one.
I love your impassioned monologues, especially when they revolve around college football.
Yeah,
because they don't personally affect me. That's why I enjoy them a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't mess around with LSU. Don't poke the bear with LSU. I mean, I also did just go. I mean, the good thing, I think I'm still on a 2019 hangover where that year was so fun and it was so good to just dominate everybody. And we had such a tough schedule that year that it was so cool to just go to Texas and win and host Florida and win and go to Bama and win and then go to the SEC championship in Atlanta and beat Georgia and mop Oklahoma. It's just a good year. And then 2020 we were awful. Worst I think I've ever seen us. 2021 we were no much better. And now if we did a third year in a row of that, I think I would have been a little distraught, but it seems like we're back on the right trajectory. And we just got a 5-star quarterback to commit for 2024 class. Love that. So things are on the up for LSU and Chicago. Liverpool won 2 games this week, so that's good. The Wild are starting to rebound.
Since you love Vegas so much, how about in 2024 you head out to the USC LSU game in Vegas?
That's a thing?
Yeah.
I didn't know where it was going to be. Oh, boy.
Yep.
Is it going to be at Allegiant?
Yep.
Oh, boy. Don't tempt me. I might just have to do that. I know next year, there's no Chiefs. Hardman just scored, and the Titans are fighting again after the play. Tough guys. I know next year, the day before my birthday, LSU hosts Florida, and I really want to go. That would be my first LSU game I've ever attended. And what better time than hosting my least favorite team in college football?
It's a shame you couldn't come to the game at Lambeau against the Badgers a few years ago.
I know. That's back when 2013?
No, that's 2016.
16? So
yeah.
Fresh out of college and probably broke.
Yep.
Doing a little better now. So, yeah, that would have been fun. I know because we beat Wisconsin in Houston, but then we lost at Lambeau, which was quite sad. That might have been Les Miles' last year.
I think it was, if I remember correctly.
That was quite sad. Do you got any other topics or anything we want to? Because I know we're a little on the little shorter end of the time scale today, but we didn't have as much to talk about today. But you got anything else you want to bring up before? I know it was 5 days since we recorded last.
What's your score prediction for tonight and tomorrow?
Tonight,
Then we can see how wrong we were.
a little bit of a cheater because Chiefs are up 9-0 right now. So we'll say 33-7 Chiefs, and I want to say 35-31 Ravens tomorrow. A little bit more of a scoring effort. Kind of interested to see how Roquan does. And then Bears play the Lions next week at Soldier Field. I do tend to project upwards towards the Bears, but both teams have a serial way of losing games, so it could be anybody's game. I'm expecting another track meet. Bears are going to start to get into more offensive games, which are going to be really fun. But defenses are going to be optional, looks like, when the Bears play. So, but I do tend to like the Bears' outlook a little more, but it could definitely go either way. And then the Packers, they host the Cowboys. Mike McCarthy's return. Do you have any optimism for that one?
No, not anymore. This Cowboys defense is going to eat this Packers offense alive, is my fear.
Yeah, bummer. But
the only hope we have is that somehow the offense goes scorched earth on the Cowboys because of the whole revenge against McCarthy thing, and who knows. But no, I think it's going to be a long, late afternoon Sunday in Green Bay.
I think you know what the Packers could use? I think the Packers could use just a bad weather game. I think that would actually really suit their running. They'd be forced to run the ball then, right? And Dak would be borderline useless if it was bad weather.
You would think.
Yeah. So your what's your score prediction for that one?
For next week, Green Bay 13, Dallas 24.
Okay. And then I think LSU 31, Arkansas 17, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Please don't let me down. Please don't let me down. I'm pretty sure if we lose one of these games, then we lose our tiebreaker to Bama, so that's going to suck. Or I don't know if Ole Miss factors into that as well, but But we just need to take care of business and we'll be all right. So, all right. That's it. First ever Tuesday release. So we appreciate you all listening. Find us at social media at Mouthguard Pod. And thank you so much. And we'll hope to see you guys soon.